Just all too. So, Asek, for those of you joining us, welcome to today's sermon. We've got a really profound topic today, exploring the preacher's message about the crucifixion of Jesus, but we're looking at it from a very physical reality.
Right, yeah. Because usually when we hear words like crucifixion or resurrection, we just jump straight to the abstract.
Totally. We go right to the spiritual victory.
Exactly. But to truly understand that spiritual triumph and, the whole theological shift with the veil tearing, we have to start by looking at the extreme physical agony.
Which is heavy, but necessary.
It is. And we also have to look at the strict ancient laws that made all of that suffering completely unavoidable.
Unavoidable. Right. And what's really wild is how the preacher approaches this. He uses a surprisingly modern, super relatable anecdote to explain this ancient agony.
Oh, right. The bathhouse story. Yes, the bathhouse story. Because, before we get into the theological reasons for the veil tearing, the sermon insists we really understand what Jesus physically endured.
Yeah, and in today's sermon, the preacher details how the crucifixion actually fulfills the prophecies in Psalms 22 and 69.
Oh, right. Like Jesus being stripped of all his garments.
Exactly. Given vinegar to drink, being completely mocked by the crowds, and then there are those desperate cries from the cross.
Right. My God, why have you forsaken me?
Yeah. And the other crucial one, I thirst.
I thirst. Which brings us right back to that modern anecdote. So the preacher shares this deeply personal story. He was trying to cure some back pain, right?
Right, that's right.
So he goes to this super public bath in his neighborhood, a place called Washinoyu.
I mean, we've all been there trying to fix an ache or a pain.
Right. But he completely overdoes it. He wanted to heal faster, so he's doing multiple cycles of these intense electronic water massages.
Oh, man.
And saunas, too, just cycle after cycle.
Hmm.
And it leads to what he calls hidden dehydration.
Which is terrifying, honestly.
It really is. He didn't even realize he was sweating out that much water. His blood actually thickened.
Yeah, it basically turns to sludge. And when that happens, your blood flow just slows way down.
And his digestion completely stopped.
Right. His organs just started shutting down. He got dizzy, severely ill. I mean, he was saying if he was even 5 minutes later getting help, he might not have made it.
That's just crazy. It's not just feeling a little thirsty. It's a systemic shutdown.
Exactly. And the preacher uses this terrifying brush with hidden dehydration to help us, the listeners, really comprehend Jesus's unimaginable thirst.
Wow. Putting it into that kind of modern perspective really changes things.
It does, because think about it. Starting from the Garden of Gethsemane, where he's sweating drops of blood from pure stress.
He's already losing huge amounts of fluid.
Right. And then you add in the brutal physical trauma, the scourging by the Roman soldiers. He's losing massive amounts of blood and bodily fluids.
And he's not getting any water.
None. And he has to carry the heavy cross in that state. Medically speaking, he was in severe, life-threatening dehydration.
Which explains his rapid death on the cross. And that desperate cry, I thirst.
Exactly. It wasn't just a spiritual metaphor. It was biological agony.
It's like we often view historical or spiritual figures as superheroes.
Oh, for sure. They don't feel pain the way we do.
Right. Like they're just immune to basic biology.
Mm.
But this bathhouse story brings it right back to the frail human body.
It really grounds it.
It does. But I have to ask, and I'm sure people listening are wondering this too, if Jesus is the Son of God, why did he have to endure this exact agonizing physical limitation?
Yeah, why not just perform a miracle and bypass the dehydration?
Exactly. According to the preacher, why go through that specific trauma?
So this is where the physical suffering connects directly to the legal and theological necessity of the cross.
Okay, so it wasn't just an accident.
Not at all.
Yeah.
It wasn't just bad luck. It was required by an unbreakable law.
An unbreakable law.
Yes. And to explain this, the preacher looks at a story from the Old Testament.
Oh, right. Daniel in the lion's den.
Exactly. In today's sermon, we get this really fascinating look at Daniel chapter 6.
Right. So Daniel was a captive Jew, but he rises to incredible power in the Medo-Persian Empire.
Yeah, he's brilliant. And the king, Darius, really favors him.
But the other officials get jealous. So they trick King Darius into signing this new law.
And it's a very specific law.
All right. It basically says anyone who prays to a god other than the king will be thrown straight to the lions.
Now, here is the crucial point the preacher makes. The law of the Medes and Persians was absolute.
Meaning what, exactly?
Meaning, once the king signed it, it could not be changed, not by anyone.
Not even the king himself.
Nope. Even King Darius, who genuinely loved Daniel, couldn't break his own law to save him.
Wow.
Yeah, the king was heartbroken. He fasted all night, but the law had to be executed.
So it's like a cosmic legal trap.
That's a great way to put it, yes.
He couldn't save his friend without destroying the very foundation of his own kingdom's legal system.
Exactly. And the preacher parallels this dilemma directly to God's law regarding sin.
Okay, right. The rule that the wages of sin is death.
Yes. God's law is also absolute. Because God is perfectly just, he can't just, wave a magic wand and erase the penalty just because he loves humanity.
So the law can't just be ignored.
Right. The penalty absolutely had to be paid.
Okay, but hang on. In the Daniel story, Daniel gets thrown to the lions, but he is saved by an angel in the end, right?
He is, yeah. The lions don't touch him.
So according to the sermon, why didn't an angel save Jesus? Like, why couldn't God send angels to pull him off the cross?
That is the perfect question, and the preacher clarifies a huge distinction here.
Okay, what is it?
If an angel had saved Jesus halfway through, the absolute law, the rule that says you will surely die, would not have been fulfilled.
Oh, I see. It would be like paying half your mortgage and then just running away.
Exactly. The debt wouldn't be settled. Jesus had to experience total unmitigated death.
He had to go all the way.
He had to. He had to face complete abandonment by God to fully satisfy the demands of the law on behalf of humanity.
Which makes that cry, my God, why have you forsaken me? Makes so much sense.
Right. It wasn't just pain. It was the reality of the penalty being paid in full.
Wow. So because Jesus fully paid that ultimate, unchangeable legal penalty through his physical death,
The old system was completely shattered.
which leads to a massive, dramatic, physical and spiritual event.
Yeah, the moment of his death.
Right. Listening to today's sermon, it describes how Jesus cries out with a loud voice and dies.
And immediately, something incredible happens in the temple.
Right. The heavy temple veil, the one separating humanity from the Holy of Holies, is torn entirely in two.
From top to bottom.
And there's an earthquake, rocks split open, tombs open. It's chaos.
It is. It's a cosmic reaction. And the preacher interprets this using the Apostle Paul's writings.
Oh, in Romans 7 and 8, right.
Exactly. The tearing of the veil is a massive symbol. It means the end of the strict condemning law.
So humanity is shifted out of that old system.
Yes. We shift from what Paul calls the principle of sin and death into the principle of the spirit of life.
Because Paul himself realized that just trying to follow the law didn't work.
No, it only highlighted his own wretchedness. It just showed him his hidden spiritual poverty.
It's like the law was just a mirror showing him how messed up things were, but it couldn't actually fix him.
Exactly. Just like how the preacher's trips to the sauna didn't heal him, they just caused hidden dehydration.
That is such a fascinating parallel.
Right. The law shows you you're dehydrated, but it can't give you a drink of water.
Oh, I love that.
Eh.
And, another detail that really stands out, the sermon emphasizes the veil tore from top to bottom.
Yeah, that's so important.
It's just a great visual. It wasn't humanity tearing its way up to God.
Right, like we didn't climb up and rip it ourselves.
Exactly. It was a top-down divine intervention, God destroying the barrier from his side.
It's pure grace. And so, summarizing the sermon's ultimate message here,
Yeah, bring it home for us.
through all of this intense physical suffering and the complete fulfilling of that unbreakable law, Jesus rose again.
Right.
And now it is spoken in today's sermon. He sits at the right hand of God, surrounded by thousands of angels.
Just singing his praises.
Exactly. And the beautiful part is believers are invited to share in this eternal life, to join that exact praise.
Completely leaving the old law behind.
Leaving it in the dust. The penalty is paid.
Man, that is incredibly powerful. It really makes you pause and think.
It does. It changes everything about how you view those historical events.
Definitely. And, the preacher argues that the ultimate barrier, that massive, heavy temple veil, was ripped apart from the top down just to give us direct access to that grace.
Direct access.
Right. Which makes you wonder, if the highest, most unbreakable barrier in the universe has already been destroyed, what personal veils are you still holding on to?
Whoa.
Like, what artificial barriers are you keeping up in your own life that are keeping you from truly living?
That's the real question, isn't it? Are we still living under our own old laws?
Exactly. It's something we all need to mull over. Well, thank you so much for listening to today's sermon with us. We really hope you keep reflecting on these deep concepts, and we'll catch you next time.